Great.
Hi.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Spotlight, where we are going to be speaking all things Mickelle Williams. This beautiful, talented CEO is on full throttle with teaching folks on how to be financially free through business credit, owning multiple properties, land, Airbnb, a fleet of Turo cars, and a home health care agency all in a span of 7 months, y'all. Talk
Yeah,
about
when you
Wow.
say it, it makes me tired. So I'm like,
Wow.
wow, I can't believe I'm doing it. Like not did it, but I'm doing it. So
yes.
Just in
it's an
7 months.
amazing journey. It's a
What
journey.
else? What else they're gonna there is there for you to do? Just
I know,
I'm done. I've
I
lived my
know,
life.
right?
I'm done.
business.
Oh my God. Well,
Yeah.
I'm Rosa Santel Hitzel. I'm owner of Vista Rosa Properties. And we have also Marcela Rosso, owner of Sunflower Global Solutions. All our real estate, we are real estate investors who have connected through being members of the RAIN, Women's Real Estate Investors Network, as well as La Reina, the Latina Real Estate Investors Network Alliance. And we're so excited to have been given the chance to speak to you today, Mickelle. I mean, thank you for sharing 30 minutes with us. I mean, because you are so busy, we know you are like amazing, busy boss lady right now.
Thank you.
So, first, let's just recap this past weekend at Relive. I know we all were there.
Yes.
I'm still on a high from
It was
being there. So,
wonderful.
this
I
was
mean, it's just a
wonderful.
rush. It gives you inspiration. You're motivated to get out there and do more. What I've heard is that people leave there and they get a deal within a few weeks. You know, they maybe 6 weeks after because they're so inspired. But not only that, you're having the opportunity to network in between every meeting. You're going out in the hallways and you're just talking to different women. We got a name badge that tells where we're from and what type of industry we specialize in. So you may be a buyer, a PML, all these things. And so you're able to kind of recognize immediately, okay, this person is a PML. I may want to talk to them. I'm looking for deals. They're from Iowa. I invest in Iowa. And so it's kind of easy to kind of locate people and be able to network in an easier way. So people were yoking up. I mean, even when they had the speakers, some people were standing up saying, hey, I'm from here. And other people would stand up and say, hey, I'll help you. And so I love the sisterhood. I love the unity involved in it. It was just a magical time. I mean, I cried so much. I was like, I'm so emotional. I'm exhausted.
Exactly. That's what I said. I mean, there was just such a high energy with
Absolutely.
2,000 women
Couldn't believe
reigning in business. And I swear I cried almost every other
every
half an hour.
speaker. Every speaker I cried. Every
I,
speaker I cried because I was just except the like Kelvin and them spoke a few times and they were
yeah.
talking about deals and things. I didn't cry during the deals.
Yeah. That was business.
But
No, we were happy. We were happy.
right. We were happy. We were like, yes. But I did cry during the when they were talking about like the inspiration. You had Jamie, you had Brooke, you had all these Ed Milet. Now he was my guy because I have his book and I work out every morning and I listen to Ed Milet on my motivational speaking podcast every single day. So when I heard he was going to be there, and I was like, wait a minute, he might be here. I was really excited. So I brought the book with me and I almost missed him. He was headed out the door and I was like, Ed. And he had a whole crowd. They were like, no, he has to leave. He has to catch a plane. Everybody get out the way. And I was like, Ed. And he turned around and looked, and I held his book. I was like, when I get the sad face. And he turned around and said, okay. He looked at me, looked at the book, looked at me, looked at the book. Like, well, she did bring the book. And then he signed it. And I was like, yay. So I had his signature
Oh,
and he wrote, God bless you in the book. And I just felt extremely blessed. I was getting on the elevator. Teresa was standing right there, Teresa. And
Wow.
I was like, oh my God, this is the best elevator ride ever. And so I got to hug her. And it was just a wonderful time. You got to meet the people you loved, Clifford, Kelton, Justin. We hugged him. And so it was just a nice time of getting to see people that you admired doing well. And I love that camaraderie. I love that sisterhood. I love just everyone feeling like we felt like one accord and I loved that.
Yeah.
yes, it was one unit. We just all moved together. It was amazing. It was amazing. So we can get started on our first question for you because I know we touched in all of what we just introduced you, but let me tell you, we want to know, first of all, how are you doing since you've been back? I know you're still on a high, but how are you doing with business? But also give us a little bit of background on how you got started and what are you currently working on?
Okay, so I just signed an offer on the plane on the way to Rain. So I
Of course you
Wow.
did.
I was like, I love this house. It was
Lovely.
two properties on one lot, a duplex in the front, a single family in the back. I was like, I want this house. I have my contractor go looked at it. When I got back from Rain on the way back, they looked at it. He loved it. I signed the contract and I was home. So I was home. I left with signing an offer and came back to an accepted offer um,
Wow.
on
Beautiful.
on a 2-unit property, two-unit property on one plot of land. So that was exciting. So
Wow,
that's how I'm
congratulations.
doing now. So I'm starting to work on that and getting, my ducks in a row for financing and everything. And so for me, I think it all started. I was in real estate. Maybe when I was about 22, I was in property management. I loved it. I loved talking to people. I was a top leaser. I was just making really good money at my young age, with the commissions, and people just loved me because I just knew how to sell. I knew the selling process.
Yeah.
Even at a young age, I would be like, hey, even if let's say the rent was 1,500, I'd be like, yeah, the rent is 1,550, but if you rent today, I'll give you 1,525. Now it's
Oh,
15.
see?
And so they were like, you're the only person we never had to raise rents with because you came in so high above market all the time and you're getting us great rents. So I would get awards and people just love me. And I ended up going into real estate because my mother retired from her job and we thought, well, let's do something together where you can make an additional side income, because she was afraid of going through the retirement and not having enough money to support herself, even though she was an executive and she had a nice severance package when she left. So we were like, okay, let's get into real estate together. So we took the course. We both were very competitive. We both got, Georgia 93, 94 scores. And we ended up passing the real estate exam, becoming real estate agents. But I really didn't do much with it. She more went into working for someone and started to do the work. But then we were going to do a company together. And my mother had an aneurysm during that time. So
Oh,
during
wow.
that time, she was setting up the table for real estate. She had a brain aneurysm, and she became paralyzed for the rest of her life after that. So it was like I kind of had to take a pause and take care of her for a while. And
Mhm.
then, we let her stay with her boyfriend, which is where she wanted to be. And after that was where he took her life and things like that. And so that's what inspired me later to do the home health care for the elderly, just taking care of that. So that was my motivation for that. So I was in real estate. I didn't really do much with it, but later on I got back into it when I got a divorce. I was married for over 20 years, but we got a divorce. And then I got into property management
Mhm.
again, and I remembered how much I loved it. And so I became, a top leaser again, also, getting the awards, and I moved up in positions into management. And so I just loved it. The people, I get nice letters from people. I knew everybody's names. It's like a community. And I loved everything about the buying and selling in the real estate process. And I
Mhm.
worked really, really hard for these people. And eventually I was like, I would love to do this for myself. As hard as I work for other people, it was hard for me to take vacations. I didn't have time freedom. I didn't have the freedom to get up and go when I wanted to. Like if I wanted to go somewhere, it was an issue. I'd
Yeah.
have to put in PTO and make sure I had the perfect amount of hours, and I'm having to, divide my vacations up, and it was just tough. And I was like, I just don't feel like I have the freedom for as much as I'm giving.
Yeah.
And so I ended up, when I left there, it was like, man, I actually can go back. When my mother died, I left the state and came back to Georgia. But I was like, I can go back into it, but I kind of want to work for myself.
Yeah.
And so I just started checking out my credit and making sure, because I was like, I know for a fact if I want to buy a house, I need to be set up a certain way. So I figure that if I want to go to work and start working for myself and investing, I need to have my credit right. So I made sure my credit was good. I worked on that for months before I ever did anything as far as investing. So I got my credit scores up over 700. And that's on all 3 bureaus. So that's like the important first step, was getting my credit to where it should be. A lot of people don't think that's important, but if you want to be an investor, credit is very much everything. Like I said, it's good debt, you know, it's buying assets. Good debt is buying assets. So I after that, I got my credit up, and then I decided, hey, you know, I started hearing and watching YouTube videos, and people were like, hey, I got business credit, business credit. It became a thing like right around last July, August. And I was like, you know what? I gotta get some business credit. And I think I can buy properties with a business LLC, like they're saying. And so I went and I started just working on my credit, which allowed me. And I had a guy that said he was going to help me. It didn't really work out too well, but he taught me some things. He gave me like a packet, and I just started studying that. And I did everything that I was reading. And so I went into the banks myself. It was a long struggle. I had to go to each and every bank, open bank accounts. You know, I researched my NAICS number to make sure I had a low risk code. I did all the things that I needed to do in order to set myself up for success. I met with the client managers at the bank so that I could get those relationships going with them. And at the end of the day, I ended up getting over $100,000 worth of business credit.
Wow.
And so I was like, okay, so this is going to be good, because I'm going to be able to kind of be my own bank, you know, because I saw people begging for money for people. I was like, I would love to do that, be my own bank. And so I went on in and started, I signed up with, well, I saw Rain, I saw Teresa around this time when I was building my business credit. And I said, you know what? I need a support system, and I need someone who's going to walk me through everything. So that's when I was like, and so now I think now that I'm getting this credit, it's time to invest in myself, because I knew that with one deal that would come back on me. And I think a lot of people are afraid to invest in themselves. They're like, it's too much.
Yeah.
But one deal you can pay yourself back, you know, if you're doing it. So you can't be afraid to invest in yourself. Because if you don't put skin in the game, or you don't sacrifice something, it won't be worth anything to you.
You won't work. You don't feel it.
Yeah, right. If it's free, you're not going to show up. You're going to be like half, you know, wanting to do it. You're going to be like, you know what, I'll do it today, maybe not next week. But if you have money invested, your time, energy, and money is where your treasure is. Like if you have money invested, you're going to be like, okay, I paid for this, so I got to get the most out of it that I can get.
Right. Yeah.
So I signed up with Rain. However, Rain didn't have as much of a one-on-one mentorship program that I needed. It was more like group support, women, but it's almost like you're kind of jumping out there, and there's so much information on every different type of loan. Wholesaling. Do I want to do fix and flips? Do I want to do bursts? Do I want to do this? Do I want to do subject twos? Do I want to do owner finance? And what do I want to do? And so it's so much, you're just like, okay, now I need somebody to walk me through. So I went and invested as well in a one-on-one mentor. And so I kind of combined the two. So I was like, I want to have a group of people support and a one-on-one person to kind of walk me through what I'm learning and what I'm seeing. And so that's what worked for me. I ended up within 5 weeks of signing on with my one-on-one mentor, I ended up closing on 2 duplexes in the same. I put an offer in. I didn't think they were both going to get accepted, but they called me on. I went to church and I was like, I'm giving it up to you, God. You know, whatever you have for me. And when I walked out of church, I had a text that said both offers had been accepted. And I was like, oh,
wow,
I'm an investor. And so it was so exciting. I'm a real estate investor. Now it's real. And the work begins after that, to be honest with you. That's the easy part. The work begins after that. I mean, you have to make sure you get the best contractors. You have to make sure that you're picking, even when you're done, good property management agents, good electricians, good plumbers. You got to have people that are reliable, because the difference in getting those people that aren't ethical or bad can tear up your whole project and cause you to lose money. So it's just a matter of vetting, putting together a solid team, and making sure you have people that have your back. So that's kind of what we did. My one-on-one mentor had his own solid team in place with realtors, contractors, property management people, etc. So I was able to just be plugged right in and able to just start working on deals right away. So it was really.
So you were like shadowing him, like shadowing him on how to do like maybe his deals, but also giving you the idea of how to actually
How
work
to
your own.
get there.
So
Mhm.
that is really game changer.
That was a game changer for me because looking back, I don't know if I would be doing everything I've done now if I didn't have that hands-on guidance and support
Right?
by
Yeah.
an individual person. I mean, I love the camaraderie and the support with Rain, but it's almost like we're all learning together.
All
So
learning.
to me, it's like if this woman doesn't know what she's doing and I don't, and we get together and do a deal, how solid can that deal be? I mean, we could ask for advice, but it's not going to be not going to be hand holding. They might give us advice one day, and then we got to wait a week later to talk to that person again. So with my mentor, I was able to call him every day. I was able to meet one-on-one with him on Zooms every week, do market surveys, analyze the properties, get the numbers together, make sure I was making right decisions. He taught me how to, come to the lenders and get the right, be able to get approval with the right template that I created. And those type of things about
He was keeping you accountable, right?
keeping me accountable. So every week he'd give me homework and then I'd come back and he'd be like, okay, it's time to go over your homework and then go to the next step. So it was
I love it.
very much, that's how I learn. I'm very, very
Yeah.
kinesthetic, running to hands-on, the audio and the visual kinesthetic. So I think it worked really, really well. And now, I'm I also started doing auctions, tax
My,
sales. I got
Wow.
land. I did the Airbnb. So, I'm at least 10 deals in with all the real estate that I'm doing. And also the crazy thing was I decided I wanted to do some cars at the same time as all this was going on.
Right.
And it happened by accident because my sister does Turo and she was like, hey, I'm doing really well with Turo. And I was like, oh, well, show me what you're doing. And she sent me in a video. And I was like, I can do that. And I rented Turo. So I thought this is easy. But I went ahead and when I was doing my business credit, I actually called my bank. I was like, hey, do you do auto loans too? Because I had that relationship. So I'm like, that'd be good to get an auto loan. And they were like, yeah. And then I thought about it. I said, do you do business auto loans? And they said, yes. And I was like, oh my goodness. So I can get these cars in my business name. And then
so
I applied and they approved me for 4 cars. And I was
Wow.
love it.
like, okay, now we're beginning, I got
Now
to.
you're
And so I ended up getting all the cars. Now that was a journey in itself, just trying to get these cars secured because the finance company, you had to go through all these people, but I got 4 cars. And it was just such a beautiful experience putting those cars out on the road and hearing people say great things. And, I
oh
get
good.
5-star reviews. And now I'm a Turo super host. I've had over
Ah,
50,000
Wow.
reviews. It's been amazing. It's
look
all
at
the customer
you.
service, all the things you
It
learn when
is.
you're younger, all the property management, all the, let me help you with this. When I first got divorced, I was a server. So learning how to cater to people and survey their needs and kind of see those things, it all helps within the real estate investment industry as well.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Marcella.
Okay. On whatever you're saying, what surprised me is like we are starting. So a lot of people is like, be afraid, don't get into a lot of things because you get overwhelmed or whatever. But you're doing everything.
Right.
That
Yeah.
is not that you're not doing it right, but you are doing it the right way, but not being afraid or getting involved on a lot of things because you're being successful and you're proving that it can happen.
It can
You
be
can
done.
do Airbnbs, you can buy and hold, you can do cars, you can build credit and help people doing credit, getting their credit done too. And you can do it right if you are intelligent enough to get the things right and in place and with the company that you need to get it done.
It's a matter to me of laying the foundation, laying a solid foundation. Even the Bible
Mhm.
talks about that, building your house upon a rock. So what I did, before I even looked at any houses, I first laid the foundation, the credit, making sure that I got my business credit amounts high enough in place where I wouldn't struggle once I started putting rehabs and stuff together. And I started off on smaller properties. I've noticed a lot of women in Reno, they want to do $200,000 and $300,000 properties with 150, $60,000 rehabs, and then say, hey, this is worth $400,000 and $500,000. That's lofty and that's great for you. However, I've noticed that they do it in their personal credit too. And what happens if if that deal falls apart or
Yeah.
something happens with a bad contract or something happens with whatever, they're in the red now for tens of thousands of dollars. So what, and I choose not to go that route because that'll make you discouraged and stop doing real estate. So I've always been like at the mindset of start small, lay your ducks in a row first, start small, and then build your confidence as you go. So even though I was afraid, I was deathly afraid. I've been shaking sometimes especially when my deals got, when all my deals got accepted, I was like, what? They want me to buy it? Okay. I'm scared, And so I had to my mentor had to talk me off a ledge many a times. There was times when I would wake up in the middle of the night, my alarm is going off out there, and my furnaces were being stolen. And I'm like on the phone, they're in my house, And so there are things that are going to come up. You have to be prepared mentally to handle those things.
Yeah.
And pivot.
Owners. You got to remind yourself, I'm a business owner. Everything's in my hand. If this fails, it's me. If it succeeds, it's me. But I am ultimately responsible for the direction of this business. And I want it to be built on a rock. I want it to be solid. And that way in the future, as we grow, we're growing on a solid foundation. Even with my home health care, I have the 3 nurses. I've done the hiring, the background checks, the orientations. And I did a beautiful orientation where the women have PowerPoints and, they have to sign the documents. We have a payroll in place. I've had to do all these things because I want to lay a solid foundation. So when we start getting clients, which we haven't even got our first client yet, we're just in the building process, but we have a beautiful website. We're setting up our social media right now. You just know all the things that it takes to grow on. And then you start bringing people on so that they can come into an environment where this is professional. You always want to look professional. You always want to look like, even if you don't, look like you know what you're doing. You know how to say fake it till you make it.
Fake it till you make it.
You come out there with your business suits, you come out confident, you are a boss, and you're like, hey, I'm doing this. I'm doing it scared. Jesus walked on water and Peter came out there. I'm Peter. I'm like, I don't know, but I'm going to come out there anyway and try it. And I'm going to take that chance because the worst you can do is fail in certain areas.
Or not doing it.
Think about Tyler Perry. He sat outside, and he slept in a car. And for 4 years, no one came into his plays. And he continued to write those plays. And no one came in for 4 years. And now he's a billionaire with the top plays, the top movies. It's those people who persevere. And that's why I try to listen to motivational speaking every single morning. Because in the beginning of the day, you could got a lot going on sometimes. And you're like, oh, my God, I got this on my plate, that. So the first thing I do, I pray, I get out of bed and I go work out and I listen to a motivational speaker that fills me up. And they're like, you're powerful, you're this, you're that. And that gives me the courage to start my day with confidence. And I think that's the biggest thing. You got to inspire yourself. Don't tell everybody your dreams. Don't tell everybody your vision. I know you said people say, don't do this. Don't tell them. I don't tell everybody my stuff until I do it. I go, guess what I did? I bought a house today.
I love it. I want to ask you.
Too late. I bought the house.
Right. I want to ask you, if you could rewind 7 months ago, what would you have done differently?
That's a good question.
I know you've done a lot, but if there was one thing that you would do differently because of what you know now.
I think the only thing I would have done differently is I would have waited on the home health care, because I think that's such a different industry. So it feels like I'm doing the real estate and all these things with the Airbnb and all that kind of flow together. But the home health care, I just came back from a conference in Dallas, and there's so many things with Medicaid and Medicare and veterans and this and that and the other. And I'm like, these are things that I have to get certified in, and every certification costs thousands of dollars. Every program you get to document and log your hours costs thousands of dollars, and et cetera. So it's like, I would have waited on that just because I thought it was going to be a little easier to do, but it's very tough work. And I have to deal with 3 employees that I already have and keep them, onboard and motivated and all that, inspired and trained constantly on things I'm still learning. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I got to learn it. I got to read it. And then I got to teach it to someone else. So it's like, I'm learning as I go. And I'm like, hey, you guys, we're all learning together. So if you guys have any tips, a lot of them have been nurses. I'm like, if you can tell me anything that made your past job easier, and they're sticking it in, they're seeing our vision. They're knowing why I did this because of my mother. And they're like, we want to work for you. And they know they have to wait months till we get a client to get paid. They know we had to wait for the license. They know we're waiting on the Medicaid certifications, and they're still hanging in there like, we believe in your dream and your vision. So if you have a dream and you have a vision, you can get the right people behind you that will support that. As long as you believe it strongly, then other people. But if you're sitting there like, I don't know how this is going to happen, people can't get behind that. So, you got to believe, you got to be the boss. You got to stand up and say, I believe in this vision. And therefore, that's contagious. Belief is contagious. Faith is contagious. And also fear is contagious. So you got to choose one.
Being a leader is so, can be devastating in a way when you have a business and you are doing everything. So as a leader, you also have the opportunity to delegate a lot of these responsibilities with amazing people. And I know you're just starting out with a bunch of, with the 3 folks for the home health care. Do you see yourself in the future kind of looking at a team that could actually alleviate some of this the responsibility, because you're doing everything. I don't even know how, but you're doing a lot. And I'm sure you're surrounding yourself with great people that could help you with a lot of things. If you're like me, I need to oversee everything and every detail.
My hands, I have to wash every car. Like today, before I got on this interview, I went out and washed and detailed the car. I have to wash the rims. I have to make sure there's no,
Oh my
Girl,
goodness.
I have to go in my Airbnb and clean it. I have to make sure there's 17 pieces of silverware in the drawer. I'm that type of person where I want to make sure it's done right, so that when the people come in, they have an experience. And maybe that's anal of me or, type 1, but I just feel like that's why I'm succeeding, is because I think of every little detail. Now, that being said, I was a mother of 6. And so me being a mother of 6 kids and raising 6 kids, I had to be like that. We have chore charts, we had lists, we had Bible study at this time. My kids had sports events, all of them, and they had instruments that they played. They went to private schools at certain times. So I had to be and even on vacations, I had to plan everything. So I learned through raising my kids to have that eye of detail and have my hands on everything. And so I also learned to delegate. I had to be like, you do the dishes, you do the kitchen, you do, and my kids had to learn how to do chores and be a part of a ecosystem here. And later I learned that too. But in this, I have, with the home health care, I picked a partner. And so she jumped in and joined as vice president. And so now we're able to equally kind of chip in on the work. So that helped. And then the second thing I did was I found an assistant. I went on Fiverr, which is amazing for you guys out there who are thinking, I can't afford a personal assistant. And literally, I pay this woman $55 a week, pay her every Friday.
I love it.
Everything for me. She's set up all of our social media. She set up all of our PowerPoint. She set up all of our documents and books. She helps me organize and get my payroll ready. And so she is doing all those things. And I said, as I grow, I'm going to pay you more. That's all she asked for. So I'm like, let's keep that
That's
now.
excellent.
I'm not going to argue with you for now. But later, and I told her, I want you to grow with me, because she's talking to me every day. We meet every Monday, every Friday for accountability. And we go through the whole week. This is what I need you to do all week. And it's taken a lot off my hands.
Oh, good.
So by Friday, I'm like, what's been done? And she shows me ABC. She got our name tags, our lanyards. She's calling the Medicaid and the veterans places and making sure we can get certified. And that is taking a lot off of me on that. So getting, like you said, delegation, putting people in place is important as well.
Yeah, it is.
This is great. I know we have a couple of minutes left. I want to make sure, Marcella, if you have any other questions for Mickelle, because let me tell you something, you have actually shared so much, and I'm so excited that you don't do all things. I want now a virtual assistant, because let me tell you, just to answer my emails,
Man, that's what I told her. I said I gave her my inbox. I said, here's the email inbox. I set up a special
Take it.
inbox for each company. I want you to just go through those. If I have a meeting, I need you to set it up and make sure everybody's on board, and then send me the Zoom link. Because at
Yes.
this point, you have to. You will burn out if you, and I know
Yes.
as women, we tend to be like, I got to do it all myself
No.
because I'm like that. I want to be washing it up. But eventually I'm going to have to hire some people to wash these cars. I'm going to have to trust people. You know, I'm going to have to trust people to clean, because as I expand, and I'm expecting to expand, I'm in expectation to grow even bigger than I am, because that's my mindset right now. I desire to leave a legacy. And I want each one of my grandkids to have a property. I want my kids to have a trust. You know, I want to set them up so that when I'm gone, they're not putting together a GoFundMe trying to pay for my funeral costs. I want everything done so that everyone, when I'm gone, I've left something more than just a bill or a debt, you know?
I love it.
It takes work, and it's going to take even more than what I'm doing now. So every day I'm like, how can I add to this? How can I build on what I'm doing?
Awesome. Well, that was our last question. What was in the future for you? But the future for you is infinite.
Yes.
You never
It
know
is infinite.
that you're gonna say, you know, I can do that too. Airplanes, yes, I'm gonna be there. It's super easy. Boats, yes, that too.
Well, in the
I
future, what I see in the future is, for me, is going to be mentorships. You know, I want to train. I get so many. When I went to Rain, I swear I had, because, you know, I put out the video for business.
Yes, you did. Because I'm like raising my hand.
And
I'm like, but I need
when I said there was like 1,300 people that watched it, but I feel like all 1,300 talked to me at the Rain individually, because every time I went in the hallway, one was like, hey, I need to talk to you. And so I was like, these women really need help. They need guidance. They need support. God, I wish I could take each one of them under my wing and be like, hey, let's do it. But you know, you got so many women, and so that's tough. But I would love to mentor on whatever level I can, so that I'm able to make an impact and make a difference on the next round. I don't care if it's group, you know, maybe small groups, like, hey, let's walk through, you know, how to access your business funding, because a lot of people get business credit cards and they don't know how to pull the money off of them. They're like, wait a minute, my lender needs this much cash. How am I going to do that? And I'm like, hey, there's a service called Plastique. You can pull the app down. They allow you to create an invoice, put it up, and pull the money off and send it to the vendor. So there's so many ways that you're able. What do you say?
We need you.
Right. And so I'm like, I want to be that person that my mentor was to me, to others, because I always believe that you're blessed to be a blessing. That is my motto when I was married. That's my motto when I was, you know, serving in restaurants. I'm going to be blessed to bless you. You're going to have the best amazing meal. You know, when I'm in property management, you're going to have the best apartment. I'm going to make sure you have a beautiful moving experience. You're going to have flowers, and you're going to have this. You know, I had a girl, it was her birthday for my Airbnb. So I went and bought flowers and balloons and put them in the Airbnb and a little bottle of wine. It's the little things.
It's
you know?
the little things.
It's the little things you think about to bless somebody else's day. And that's why I believe that God blesses me, because he knows if he pours into me, I'm going to pour it right back on other people, and we're his hands and feet on this earth. So it's not always about making money. It's about making a difference. Yeah. And my final little story that I want to tell you guys is that my very first property I was really excited to get. It was a duplex, and it, you know, it's completely trashed, holes in the wall, holes in the ceiling, holes in the floor. We redid it. Walls, ceiling, floors, doors, windows, everything. New tub, new sinks, countertops, everything. So we re-gutted it. And during the time I'm re-gutting it, I got a phone call, and it was an elderly lady, and she said, I lived in that house for 30 years. And I'm like, who is this? Hello? Who are you calling? And she said, I lived in this house for 30 years, and I got put out when you bought the house because they died and I had to go. And I was like, okay, what's your name? And she's like, Miss Bell. And I go, okay, Miss Bell, tell me a little bit about your situation. She said, I lived there. I loved it. It was my house, but the owners died. They couldn't do the work. They were really old. And so I just lived there. There was a lot going on, but I loved it. That was my house. You know, she said, and I would love to be there. Are you still renting it out? I said, do you want to come home, Miss Bell? And she's like, yes. And I go, okay. So for the next 4 months, I went through absolute hell because I had to get a Section 8 cert. I don't know if anybody has dealt with Section 8.
No, you did. But we're gonna count on you to explain it all.
Oh, I failed inspection 3 times.
Oh my
Wow.
You
God.
don't have a shower rod in here. Your house has chipped paint on the outside. You need to paint the whole house. And so I would have to spend $4,000 to paint the outside of the whole house, to scrape it off and paint it. My neighbor's mad because paint's getting on his car. They're calling me, yelling. My chimney start popping off. They're calling, they're yelling. I'm having to fix the chimney. I'm having to do this. They don't want the balcony to have a little hole in it. They don't want this. They want rails here. They want this. So I'm like, we're failing. And I'm like, Miss Bell, and she's calling me, what's going on? And meanwhile, I got the property management company in place. We're getting all her Section 8 paperwork. We're turning it in. They lost her paperwork. We had to do it again. 4 months. I'm paying the mortgage all this time. Now, mind you, I could have found another renter because it was rehabbed in 4 weeks. We were done. It was beautiful. And I sat it there for 4 months empty because I'm waiting to get the certification for this one lady. And she kept calling me. She's like, I just want to know when I can come. And I said, we're working on it. You know, every week she called me. But thank God. So finally I paint the whole house white. I'm like, this is the house. This is just, it's going to be the White House in Tweed. And I painted it. And finally they came by and they passed it about a week ago. And the next day, Miss Bell moved in. And when I say she was crying and she was excited, I was crying. My property management agent was crying. She drove Miss Bell to get her things and drove her back and forth to get her money order and do all that. And we just were celebrating because now this lady lives in a house that has walls and ceilings and windows and everything's brand new. Her appliances are brand new. And Miss Bell was like, I am so happy. You don't know how much you blessed me. And my property manager was like, you could have rented it and rented it a long time ago. She said, most people wouldn't have done that. And I said, because it's not about the money all the time. It's about making a difference, you know? And so now Miss Bell will live in that house for the rest of her life. And now I have that knowledge that this lady's going to go to sleep at night in her house happy that she has a brand new house for her. And she didn't do anything to deserve it. All she did was be patient.
Oh my gosh, Mickelle, that is such an amazing story. Thank you so much. And yay, Miss Bell, you're in your house for the rest of your life. So I'm so excited for her. I mean, I know, you know, you shared your remarkable story, and I still can't believe and fathom that this has only been like 7 months. But what I love about your story is that you've been in real estate game since a long time ago, since your 20s, right? So you're not new to this game like a bunch of us. So for us to know and understand a little bit more, this was an amazing feature. You provided us so many nuggets. Credit
Yeah, and you
alone.
know, the funny
That's
part
great.
is I literally, even though I was in it, I never worked in it. So never sold a house. It was the property management I ended up getting in that I was working for, but I'm learning too. You know, I'm learning, I'm growing. Every day is a new adventure where I have to sit there and figure things out and figure out how to move to the next door. And it's to me, it develops you, it grows you, and it challenges you. And I love a good challenge.
Um, well, you're an inspiration. I mean, I can't wait to see what God has planned for you next. So I would love to know, and how our viewers and anyone that wants to get to know Mickelle a little bit more, like we just did, how can they get a hold of you? What's your information? And we can link it out down here
Well,
in
of course. Okay. Of course, I'm in the Georgia Rain group, and I think it's called Rain Georgia or REI Georgia. I'm not exactly sure, but it's Georgia Drain for all the Rain sisters.
Mhm.
And for Facebook, it's just my name. The cool thing about my mom, she named me a name that no one else has. So I just have my first name for Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. If you just type in my name, you can go to my Facebook, my Instagram, my TikTok without any numbers or letters behind it. So she picked a unique enough name where no one else has it.
Yes.
So you can find me there. I'm on LinkedIn under Mickelle as well. But if you wanted to send me a message, maybe ask me some questions, because I'm doing weekly Q&As right now for business and personal credit, and also talking about investing. So if you have a question maybe and you want to inbox me, you can do Mickelle, which is my first name, at empowermentwww.com. So it's empowerment www, but without the E in the front, .com, or Mickelle at thewinblueprint.com, which is where I will be eventually mentoring and serving the people.
You
Are
are
amazing.
amazing.
We're gonna put it under the video so everybody can get a hold of you for
That'd be
sure.
wonderful. Yeah, if anyone wants to reach out, I am doing what's called Pick My Brain sessions. So I can send people a link to add to my calendar just to pick my brain for an hour. You know, I've started offering that so people can ask me whatever questions they want. And I'll go through like from beginning to end on showing them some of the things that they need to know just to get their foundation laid. Because that's the most important is setting up properly and making sure you have a solid foundation. So you don't have to go back later and correct mistakes.
That's for sure. It's
Mhm.
been a pleasure. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much
Thank
for
you
giving
for
us some
having
time.
me.
Oh
I
my
loved it. I enjoyed you guys. Thank you so much. I had a
Thank
good
you.
time with you guys, and I hope you guys learned something and I blessed you guys in some sort of way. So
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Have a great
Take
night.
care. Enjoy your afternoon, evening, wherever you are.
you.
Hopefully we'll get to see you soon.
Okay, will do. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.